No,
Those
but
usually only happen if we're playing board games.
it's the funnest.
Okay.
Those two arguing is the funnest shit ever.
Great.
Yeah. I can't wait. I'm so excited to see you guys. I guess we got to do this whole festival
I know.
thing, but I get to hang out with. What's up, YouTube? Hello.
Hey, YouTube.
Zach convinced me to turn on the touch up my
I
appearance.
did. I had it on, and I had it on
now I
full
feel like
blast.
I feel like I've been pasted with makeup.
I didn't know you still had it
That's
on.
how it
I at
works.
least turned mine off.
You turned it off? No, what? You asshole. Hang on. Let me fix it.
I had mine on full blast earlier. Here we go.
Is there a difference? You can do it on full or partial.
Yeah,
I do have to pee.
Mine's on very
Ahoy,
heavy.
everybody.
I gotta pee. Yeah.
Ahoy.
Here, talk to Zach.
I can't turn that off. That's fine. It's way over there, and I'm.
We pillage and plunder, we rifle and loot. Drink up, me heart is your hole.
I don't know how long it plays, guys. I'm sorry.
Drink up, me heart is your hole.
That's fucking long. Sorry, guys. At least it went off because I can't reach it to turn it back off. So that was fucking ridiculous. Ahoy, friends. Amy's at the airport heading to Dallas right now. We'll see you there. Who else in the live chat's going to Obsessed Fest this weekend? Anybody? I know Amy is. Grayson, it's nice to see you, my sir. The inmates are running. Yeah, that's 100% true. I don't know why I'm the inmate, though, but that's fine. It's okay. Hi, Kathy. I know Kathy's going to be there. Kathy's volunteer there on Saturday, I believe. Not this Amy. Yeah, no, that's not that Amy. The other Amy. The one that said she's going. Yep.
What
Kathy,
I missed?
just said you're volunteering.
Did anyone say ahoy? Did anyone say ahoy yet? I just want to make sure we're saying ahoy.
Viola's joined us.
Oh,
hello.
Viola's here?
Yeah,
Ahoy.
Viola's here.
Oh, tell her to be careful. She's got that bad hip.
What did you tell me to do?
Where that money was, there were 3 books under it.
Why didn't you say that earlier? There's not a chance I'll remember those books now.
Oh, I got some pit sweats.
Jesus.
Oh, it's so hot in here.
You better turn that. You better turn that fucking touch up my appearance back on.
For my pit sweats.
For your pit sweats.
My pit sweats.
Enhances that.
What's up? Oh, it's 1:06 a.m. in the UK.
I'm sorry.
Is that
I wouldn't stay up
Purple?
that
Are
late
you
to
in
see
the
us.
UK? If you are, then hey, thanks for joining us at 1:06 a.m.
I would not stay up that late to see us.
But wait, was Purple saying why are we started late and it's already 1:06? Because if an apology is merited, I'm going to say I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
And
Not
I
for listen. Those 6 minutes don't make a difference if it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
let me say this, Purple. You are so glad you weren't there for that 6 minutes, and all of you are glad that you weren't there for the 6 minutes. Nothing happened in that 6 minutes that any of you want to bear witness to in any way. And for those of you who are patrons, I'm
they're
sorry.
gonna love those 6 minutes. This can be their favorite.
I'm sorry that you can't get those 6 minutes back to our patrons.
Is this a drama-free zone? Of course it is, Kelly. It's always a drama-free zone here.
What's a drama?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a drama is.
Never heard of it.
So hot. I'm dying.
Guys, I'm sorry it's so hot there. I feel it's very nice here.
It's just this room is really well insulated and it's cold outside, so the heat's on. And then I meant to turn it off hours ago so it cooled off in here, but I didn't. So it's hot.
It's hot.
So
too much man.
By the way, I didn't even say anything in the pre-show or anything because I want to surprise you guys. In the follow-up, when you ask one of the questions, I'm gonna blow your minds.
Cool.
Blow your minds.
I'm ready to
I
have
only
my
say
mind
that
blown.
because you sent those questions, and I only looked. I only had time. I looked at the first question. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. And then I did some quick research and was like, what the fucking fuck? And then I spent the next half hour like reading about that thing.
I may know what it is.
I need to revisit the questions.
I shouldn't have said it was the first question. I ruined it.
I may know what it is.
I ruined it.
Well, you didn't ruin it in that it's not in order. The questions I sent are not in the order that the questions came in. Like if you go to the Facebook post, they're not. I put them into an order that makes sense to me.
Gotcha.
I just paraphrased them because it's kind of like Twitter. I only get 200 characters on my side.
Yeah.
So,
hey, if anybody on here is a patron, I just saw Danielle, and Danielle, I swear to God, I'm going to message you because I just got today.
He won't.
I got the shirts because we ran out of sizes. They just got delivered today, so I have shirts. And Danielle had said she was willing to help. Somebody else had also said they're willing to help.
My ear itches.
get those shipped out. And that person, Danielle, no pressure. I said, they said, why don't you just ship all the shirts to me and I'll just ship them too. And I was like, well, maybe Danielle wants to do that because she said she wanted to help first. But the point is, I made a post on Patreon thinking this will make sure, because we don't get the sizes. That's what's always the holdup. So I made a post. I'm like, hey, if I owe you a shirt, message me with your sizes so I have them. The result was 200 people messaged with their sizes, and most of them I don't owe a shirt.
That's a funny twist.
I didn't realize people didn't realize that it's the $15 level to get shirts. So all the people at the $5 level were like, oh yeah, I'll take an extra large. I'll take a large. I'll take that. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like going through the list. I'm like, no, none of you are on the list. I guess I should have been a little more clear. So that didn't help at all.
Oh, good times.
We'll do. Okay, Danielle, I'm going to send you a message. We need to get this done because I've got to get caught up on. I feel terrible because there are people that I owe shirts to, and it's hard to find time to.
Where are you going, Janet?
Get them out.
I feel like I look very hot, but not in a good way. Like I feel like I look blown out.
Hey,
But
was
I
that
don't know
thing you
where my
did last
little-
week? I saw your post
I
about
can't.
it.
I'm a child.
Is that an audio podcast or a YouTube video?
Which
The show you did last week?
the Plan 9 one with Dana?
Yeah.
It was live.
Oh, because I thought there was something like you could listen to it or check it out or something.
I don't think so.
No, maybe not. Also, was Bobcat in that with you?
Yeah.
Oh, he's here. Like, isn't Max opening for him this week?
No, the 25th.
The 25th. Yeah, I saw that picture. I'm like, that looks. Zach's cousin is opening for Bobcat
Nice. I
here,
love
or
Bobcat.
around here
Mhm.
in a couple weeks.
Max is
That's-
the one that
he's a great dude.
that is producing that show.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Cool.
I was like, look at that.
Mhm.
What a small world. My friend
Bob.
Janet and my friend Zach are both hanging out with Bobcat. Golf.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good
Does,
dude.
does he ever do does he ever do the police? I bet he hates when people want him to do the police academy voice.
Oh, he does the voice.
Does he?
He does. Yeah, he does multiple characters in that show we do. And he definitely uses the voice for one of the characters. It's very funny.
Oh yeah. I was
People
thinking
get
it's like
excited
somebody
about
like it seems like he kind of got typecast with that when he like way back in the 80s when he was doing
Yeah,
those movies.
he
And
created
was
a character,
hilarious
and
in
then
them.
he created a character, and then you meet
Yeah.
him in real life
The
for the first time, and you're like, oh, you're a normal.
Yeah, the first time I heard him
normal voice.
interviewed on something, I was like, "Wait, you talk normal?" And like, I'm an idiot. Why did I think that he didn't speak like in a normal voice?
Well, that's like
Yeah.
Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, I know it's a totally different thing, but Larry the Cable is the same thing.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he's this persona of this fucking redneck, and his name's Dan, and he's like a normal dude.
and he's from
like,
Wisconsin. He doesn't
Yeah.
have a southern accent.
like,
Yeah.
he's not that at all.
Yeah. Danielle, yeah, that's actually where I heard him interviewed, was on Bob and Tom. And he was telling stories about how his kids didn't think he was cool, and how he way back is a hilarious story. You'd have to find him somewhere where he tells it. But back when it was Regis and Kathy Lee would every day just talk about her son Cody and on, and it was like a joke. People were like, "Oh my God, shut up about your kid." He had said on stage, because he was going on Regis and Kathy Lee, that he was going to take Ipecac. And then when she started talking about and Ipecac, if you don't know, makes you vomit, but it's activated by water. Like you drink it, and then when water hits it, it expands and makes you throw up.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, I'm going to take Ipecac and take a glass of water and sit out there. And as soon as Kathy Lee starts talking about Cody, I'm going to drink it and puke all over the stage. And he was like, right before he went out, the word had gotten out, and the producers like grabbed him and were like searching him to make sure he wasn't going to do it. And he's like, and I was offended. And then they found the bottle of Ipecac in my pocket. So Susan, you're asking, we're going to start showing in just a second, but ask about the merch. If we can work with somebody that will place the order that will ship them out, like drop ship. We do that with merch that we sell through the website. It doesn't work like that with Patreon, because there's not like the only thing I don't like about Patreon is it's a pain in the ass. When you sign up for the t-shirt level, you like sign up and you put your address in, and it never asks for your size. So then I just have to like go through and figure out who do I owe t-shirts to, and then have to message all those people and then ask them to send me their size. And then it'll be like, I'll take a day and be like, today I'm doing shirts, and I'll go through all of them. and then I'll send them all out, and then I'll get back to work, and then 4 days later, people will start emailing me with sizes, and now I've already put all the shit away, and I'm not doing, so it's a pain in the ass. But there's not like a real quick, like easy drop ship site. Oh wow, thank you, Terry. Terry with the super sticker. Thank you. I don't know what the sticker is, but that's a very generous donation. Thank you, Terry. We appreciate that. And I think we should go ahead and get started because we need to make this thing nice and tight. So B-Man, let me see. Brandon didn't text me back.
Here, let me. Brandon!
Thanks, buddy. He's not going to be able to hear you with that plexiglass. That plexiglass is going to block out any sound that anyone would have heard.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Susan just wants to order a shirt and it says they're sold out. That's a different.
So there's two different things. Yeah. So there are the t-shirts we sell through the website, which I don't have any actively being sold right now. And then on Patreon, if you're at the $15 level, I send you a free t-shirt. And those are the ones that I'm struggling to keep up with. And it's a combination of the way they're tracked on Patreon, not having the sizes, me not having the time. And Danielle has graciously offered to help me with that because some people have been waiting for like months to get their shirts.
He just said,
Oh.
I could feel it.
Real quick, Tiffany with the super chat. Thank you. Tiffany says, Bob, you need a shirt secretary, and I'm a good'un.
I like I'm a good'un a lot.
Listen, Tiffany, I got to get better about letting people help when they want to help. Like Danielle's been begging me to help with this for 6 months. And I'm like, yeah, but then I don't have the energy to figure the shit out to send her. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Danielle the login to Patreon and be like, here, figure the shit out and start sending some t-shirts out. Figure it out. But we got Danielle, we got somebody else, and Tiffany, you're on the list. Maybe you guys can all work. I don't know how. Just somebody, God, besides me, send shirts out. Okay, we need to start this thing.
Great.
But why can't we order one? Real quick, Susan. So when I have time again, I'll do when I do the shirt orders for merch, I have to make sure that we have a minimum order for the dropship company to do them. So like I do them. Like I can't leave them up all the time. So like I'll put it up for a month. Maybe I'll do it like next month before Christmas. We'll do some merch that'll go out because I did just make a new shirt for Crime or for Obsessed Fest, and I think people will want that shirt. So we'll put it up. So we'll do another run of those. The Patreon thing's a completely different. It's a Patreon exclusive only shirt. It's a Truth and Justice Army shirt. It's like army green.
I got new shirts.
I can't wait to see him.
I'm excited about my new shirts.
We are. Wait, what am I doing?
Nobody knows about.
Not that. We're going to do this. Let's hit record.
One person knows.
Yahtzee. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, is it my turn? Ahoy, friends. Thank you for tuning in to Truth and Justice. You are listening to the Friday Follow-Up for Season 13 and the Murder of Jody Jones, Part 6. This week, Bob sat down with Dr. Sandra Lean once again to wrap up our coverage of the case against Luke Mitchell. We had some lingering questions, and Dr. Lean was kind enough to help us get them answered. I'm joined by Bob and Janet today. We have a lot to talk about. Also, if you were listening on Friday, just know we are at Obsessed Fest having a great time.
That's right. Yeah. In the Truth and Justice Time Machine right now, we are in Dallas at Obsessed Fest. We will have just wrapped the first day and we'll be relaxing somewhere, probably having a nice dinner. That's probably what will be going on at this time on Friday. Real quick housekeeping that I want to do for you guys schedule wise. So this week, this Sunday is when we're starting the season 14, which is the reply brief series about Adnan's case here on the main feed. So I'm going to start this week dropping the episodes that have been Patreon exclusive episodes on the main feed on Sundays. So you guys already heard part 1. That, as I mentioned before, in order for me to get all the episodes into the same season and all together for new people that want to come in and listen to it, I'm republishing episode 1, part 1, and the follow-up to that part 1 on the main feed. Those are going to drop on Saturday. So if you see that you have 2 new episodes of Truth and Justice come out on Saturday and you're super excited to listen to them, and then you realize, hey, I already heard those, that's why. Feel free to listen again. But the 2 episodes that are going to drop on Saturday are just to catch the series up. On Sunday, episode 2 of the Reply Brief series will air, and then from then on, we'll just be going in order, obviously, once a week on those. For the patrons that are still listening on Patreon, your episodes will also be dropping on Sunday, but you're getting the new ones. So this week on the main feed, they're going to hear on Sunday part 2. And for the patrons on Sunday, you're going to hear part 7, which is actually the 9th episode, because there was part 4 was a 2-parter and part 6 was a 2-parter. So part 7 is the 9th episode in the series. So the Patreon feed is running about 8 weeks, 7 weeks ahead of the main feed. And we do have some travel coming up. So, and I next week, I guess I'll have a minute to see you. Can you stop doing that when I'm talking? So we do have some travel coming up. And next week, I'll be able to touch base again. But after that, I'm going to be out with no internet for a week. So I want to make sure I let you guys know schedule-wise what's coming up. Our plan right now is this week. Obviously, you're hearing this episode. In 2 days on Sunday, you're going to hear part 2 of the Adnan series. On Patreon, you'll hear part 7 of the Adnan series. Next Tuesday, we'll record a follow-up as usual. You'll hear that on Friday. Next Sunday, patrons will get part 8, and main feed will get part 3. The next week is when I'm gone and have no internet. So the hope is we are recording a live Friday follow-up at Obsessed Fest this week while we're there. The hope is for that week while I'm gone to air that episode for you guys on Friday as the Friday follow-up, the live one that we do at Obsessed Fest. If we're not able, there's some question about whether they're going to be able to get us that audio before I leave for Colorado. So if they don't, then there will be no Friday episode on, what will that be? The 27th, I think, of October, that Friday. There will be no Friday follow-up episode that day if they don't get us the audio in time. I'm hoping that they do. And then for the patrons, everybody will still have a normal main episode the following week. I know this is a lot for you guys to remember, but at least I can go back and say, I told you so. The following week, which will be November 5th, there won't be a new Patreon episode that week. There will be a main episode. And that's just because of my travel schedule. I just don't have time to do it. So, and then everything will be normal after that. So that's everything that we have coming up. And with that, what do you guys think about this? I feel like there was so much covered in this episode with Dr. Lean. Did you guys have any thoughts before we get into the questions?
It was a very meta episode because it was just funny to sort of hear you referring back to our follow-ups and conversations that came up with us and with our listeners. And now we're talking about that, but we don't have Dr. Lean next week. So whatever we're doing with this follow-up is getting resolved more or less here and now.
As best as we can resolve it.
As best
today.
as we can.
I was thinking that when I was doing it, I was like, that was pretty much a follow-up in it of itself.
A follow-up on a follow-up.
Yeah, but I did see that we had quite a few questions come up. Did anything new pique your interest, Zach?
No, it was nice to have Dr. Sandra Lean kind of come in and answer some of my questions personally. So I was happy to hear it. It still is a tough case just because we just have no clue what's really out there. And it's disappointing. That's not anybody's fault. That's just the way that Scotland works. Like, just to not have these files and the transcripts and everything else. It's hard. It really is hard for me to move on from this case. But I know we have to move on because there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, at least for now. And if more comes up, then we'll share. Where did you guys, did you guys, based on what we heard, form any opinions on guilt or innocence or anything?
I don't see how I don't understand. I don't understand the case as it was presented to the jury in a way that lets me have any sense of him being guilty. Like, if there's something that was said or that I missed, okay, but I don't understand. I don't understand that the linchpins of the case seem to be totally disprovable or totally suspect and confusing at best.
Even without being disprovable, they're just, to me, seem very weak.
Yeah.
What do you think, Zach?
No, I agree, and I think it was nice to hear from Dr. Sandra Lean because I came in, I was probably leaning on the edge of guilt just because of I don't know. There was so much that kind of leaned me that way, but
in
I
your
feel
research that you had done
in the research
beforehand.
that I'd done,
Mhm.
but it was nice to hear from her, and she kind of took each piece and showed me why it was incorrect. And that's again, that's the problem with it is we're not getting to see the case file. I'm only seeing what's written out there. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm
Mhm.
hearing, so like we talk about the knife and we talk about this whole missing knife thing that's portrayed as a missing knife, and everything I've ever heard is portrayed as a missing knife. This is the first time I've ever heard that the knife wasn't actually missing.
Right.
And I think little things like that, to actually hear what is really known, is big for me to help. I believe he's innocent.
Yeah, I can't. And again, I have to, as kind of both of you did, hedges in the fact that I'm basing this on the information we have.
Mhm.
And since we haven't seen the case file, certainly there could be some other stuff out there. But I mean, I've done a lot since I've talked to Dr. Lean. I have done a lot of, because I want to see, like, okay, what are people saying to counter this?
Right.
And because certainly there's going to be an online community, there always is, that is kind of campaigning the other way. I listened to some podcasts, I read a bunch of stuff on it, and I just can't see I haven't seen anything that is compelling at all to me to try. It's kind of like Adnan's case, where it's like there's like a lot of smoke and mirrors to try to find a way to make it how maybe someone could have, but there's no evidence that shows that he did do it. I definitely, and the massive amount of evidence that points to other people is huge to me. Like there can't be this little evidence pointing at the guy that did it and that much evidence pointing at the people that didn't.
Mhm.
That's just it's hard for me to wrap my brain around. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the listener questions. I glanced through what you had, Janet, and I know one of them I did a quick little bit of research on, and my mind was a bit blown.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this question that's coming up is speaks to the most surprising thing that came out of the conversation that you had with Dr. Lean, which was the identification of the stocky man as being Jody's brother.
Right.
That was, I did not see that coming. I certainly didn't know
Me
it. It
neither.
sounds like it was, I mean, she herself said this is something that was not public for a very long time. I'm not sure what changed, but yeah, that was a surprising piece of information. So we definitely
Before
have
you
questions about that.
Yeah, and before you get into those questions, just to answer kind of that question you asked there about how it, so in the research that I've done, it was like, you heard her say that like people online have figured it out. So what it was is Dr. Lean got information and the defense got information from the police about this identification of Jody's brother as Stocky Man. She didn't identify him. In her book, she wrote about it, and it sounds like some other articles, maybe a podcast she's done. She talked about it and wrote about it, but always left his name out and left anything out that seemed like it would be easy to identify. But people pretty quickly figured it out because she had said that it was someone very close to Jody, and it was someone who was reported to have never left the house that night. And then people kind of went back through and were parsing things out. And then they were like, oh, wait, the only person close to Jody that we know of in the record that was said to not have left the house that night was her brother. And then then they pieced some other things together, and they figured out pretty quickly that that's who it was. It was Joseph, Jody's brother, that she was talking about.
And did she say in the episode, now I'm forgetting, did she say who made that identification or no?
There were two completely independent witnesses. Both of them saw Jody walking with a stocky man, right? That they just described. One of those witnesses was then at the funeral and
That's right. Okay.
and saw him and was like, that's him. That's the guy that and that person didn't know that was her brother. It just saw all these guys standing there and like, hey, that's the guy that was following her. And it was her brothers who she identified.
But we don't really know that that was her brother.
Well, let's go on with the questions.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, Emma says, what was Jody's relationship with her brother like?
I don't know. If I'm to be honest, I tried doing some research on that. I haven't found much about her relationship with the brother other than as Dr. Lean alluded to, that he seemed to have some pretty serious um, uh, mental disabilities.
Right. With that in mind, Sue says, without knowing the nature of those, I think mental illness was maybe the
Yeah.
words that Dr. Lean used. I did paraphrase this, Sue. I'm sorry, but the question is sort of around: should he have been questioned in any sort of way beyond not being questioned at all, which was sort of the impression we got.
So this is when I was trying to research this question and kind of the rest of them about this, and I'll probably answer everything you want to know about Joseph right now. In trying to find more information out about him, I never found the exact nature of the mental illness, other than there are all these reports that he had been. I saw the word psychotic used, and I don't know exactly what that means, but that in the weeks leading up to the murder, that he had attacked other women with a knife, or like assaulted people using a knife, or women using a knife. He was supposedly, and again, this is all allegedly what I read on the internet, that he was heavily medicated and was using large amounts of cannabis, and was just kind of almost out of body. It sounded like that he was just during the weeks leading up to the murder. And then regarding him being questioned, from what Dr. Lean wrote about it in her book, and I don't know why she didn't mention this. Maybe it seemed like she's just trying to protect what's out there, but this is all out there on the internet. He was questioned by police years later and said that he was following her and confessed to murdering her.
Whoa.
That was cited in the book, I believe, by Dr. Lean, that a police officer shared the information with her about the fact that he had been interviewed and he had confessed to the murder. I think part of the reason why she is hesitant to just say that out, and my guess is because she did identify that it was him. That's probably why she didn't get more into that on the show. I think if she hadn't said that yes, it was him, she would have told us that the person identified as Stocky Man later confessed to the murder. Because again, if there's some mental illness involved, I don't know how much you can trust or rely on the confession. I don't know all those details, but that is what was written about in the book, and evidently that came from the police, that he was interviewed and he confessed that he was the one that murdered Jody.
At the beginning, when I asked, I know a lot of people saw that I asked on the fan page about listeners to contact me about this case. I had a lot of listeners contact me saying that he had allegedly attacked Jody prior to this, but I have not seen anything substantial to that.
I saw some discussion pages, because there's some deep, like not Facebook, but like websites and forums dedicated to this case where people were discussing it. And I saw where a few people brought that up and said that he had attacked Jody.
Mm-hmm.
And then people were countering that with, no, it wasn't Jody he attacked. He had attacked, it sounded like multiple other females before that, like within the couple weeks before that. I don't know where the truth lies in that, but that was, there was people that, and they were like citing Dr. Lean's book, and where she had cited things that it wasn't that I believe that it wasn't that he had attacked Jody, that he had attacked other females. And again, I can't comment on the veracity of that, but that seems to be, every time somebody said that he attacked Jody, somebody was corrected and said, no, it wasn't Jody, it was other females.
Well, we just have to do what we've been doing with everything else, not just in this case, but in other cases, and say, we don't know what that means. And in the interest of not wanting to put an innocent person in prison, even if they did confess, if they aren't in a position where they are necessarily going to tell the truth or feel coerced or mentally ill or not competent to stand trial, as I saw Devin, you pointed out, you don't want to throw blame on somebody else just to get the person you think is innocent out from under it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But that's really disturbing.
Yeah. And it's taxable. There was also a lot of discussion about the alibi, and I couldn't find in the amount of time I had to look it up. I couldn't find the answers to this, but apparently his only alibi was his mom saying that he was at the home and had left all night. What we do know is that he didn't participate. The whole rest of the family, the sister's boyfriend, the grandma, eventually were all out part of the search, and he wasn't. And then there were people saying that there's another witness that had said that no, he wasn't. There is a block of time from like 5 to 7 o'clock where he was, or 6 o'clock, whatever, that he was unaccounted for because he had plans with somebody and then he changed those plans or didn't show up with the plans. This is just what's out there. I don't know what's true and what's not, but when you start to then go back, for me, when I started to think back about all the weirdness kind of around the family, constantly changing all the stories, and the sister's boyfriend's DNA and the cousin, on the moped being in the area, everything kind of starts to, I can see a picture in my mind of maybe how maybe of what had happened.
My goodness. Boy, I hope that's not true.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I don't know
for so many reasons, I hope that's not true.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's like we know she was brutally murdered by someone.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's better that one person did it over another person. Being a family
It's
member, if
not
that was
that.
the case, that's all the ripples surrounding that add a whole nother layer of sorrow, I think. Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yes, and there's a big difference between not knowing who did it and thinking and deciding that it must be Luke, and knowing who did it and letting it still be Luke. That's just a very different
Right.
conversation to me.
It is. So that I'm sure, I don't know if you have any other questions about the brother, but I think that probably covers just about anything about him.
Yeah, I mean, there are folks wondering what became of him, if there's any.
So that's what I was actually
Concerns.
looking up, was trying to see
Yeah.
like what became of him later, and everything, any possible way I tried to search for him, everything led back to that. I didn't find anything about like what happened with him later in life. But but by the way, the confession, I think, I don't know, some sources made it seem like Dr. Lean found out about it 15 years later, and then some sources made it seem like it was 15 years later when he confessed. So I don't know which is accurate.
Wow. Well, just acknowledging Kathy had one of those questions, and Simone, I know that you had asked as well. But Simone also asked, is there an Innocence Project overseas? And are they interested in this case, or would they be interested? Simone says, I'm noticing most of the interest is only coming about in recent years. I'm sure they're spread thin in other countries, but it's worth a shot. Also, if the money would rather be put towards testing, referencing Dr. Lean saying, if you want to help out, if there were money to spend, I would want to spend it on testing the evidence. Simone says, would that be something we can do legally, or would it still be considered raising money for the defense?
I don't really know the answer to either of those. I haven't seen anything about any, and I'm sure we have some. I know for a fact we have at least one person in the UK that is in the chat right now, so maybe they'll answer. I don't know if there's an Innocence Project type organization in the UK or specifically in Scotland. As far as the fundraising, I don't. It sounds like it's the fundraising vehicles that shut down because it's like illegal, I guess, in Scotland to raise funds for someone who's in prison. So I think that if the fundraising happened somewhere else somehow, and then was just like money was just sent to the defense, donated to them, I think I don't know how, and I certainly don't have the bandwidth right now to lead that charge. But if somebody wants to figure that out, I was also told that you can donate to, much like a lot of our YouTube people will do, like super chats and stuff. You can donate directly to Dr. Lean through her YouTube channel. Just be aware that if you do that YouTube takes like 30% of that. So there's got to be a better way if you want to help fund the DNA testing.
Right. Okay. So Kristen also says, Kristen says, sorry, Brandon. Kristen says, even if for argument's sake, Luke's mom was indeed able to burn his clothes without anyone seeing a fire, which Kristen says seems doubtful, would that not present a timeline problem? How much time between Luke leaving the house because Jody had not shown up, Luke making the call to Jody's landline? A review recap of the timeline would be helpful. As I recall, Luke met up with friends after Jody did not show. And so that's one piece, and then there's a second half that we can talk about in just a second. I know we went over the timeline last week, but obviously Kristen's question is around when did this alleged burning happen, and would it have been possible under the circumstances of the rest of the timeline as we understand it?
So that's when I was reading today online, that topic came up a lot, and something I hadn't really thought about, but was that not only would Luke have to have time to have committed the murder between when he's seen sitting on the wall at the end of his street and when he's with his friends at the Abbey, which that's like less than an hour gap there, I think. Like it was after 6 o'clock when he was still seen out like at the road. And then it was by 7 o'clock he's hanging out with his friends at the Abbey. It's not just enough time to commit the murder, but it's commit the murder, the mutilation, all the stuff that happened there, somehow in broad daylight, get back to his house, change, clean up, get that, which again, according to the police, when he still had dirt in his hair and under his fingernails, like he hadn't showered, but somehow he gets blood off of him, gets rid of his bloody clothes, changes, and then makes it to the Abbey, which is quite a ways north of where he was at. Like the time there's barely enough time to even suggest that he committed the murder. There's certainly not enough time for him to have committed the murder, cleaned up, disposed of his clothes, and burned them, and then still got to the Abbey when he was hanging out with his friends. And as Zach had mentioned in one of our previous episodes, like it doesn't, like, the fire pit was searched. There was no zippers. There was no sign of anything that had been burned in that fire pit.
And then Kristen also says Luke and Jody were both eager to see each other, it seems like. Has anyone given any indication besides the unverified claim about Luke being abusive to a previous girlfriend that the relationship between these two young people was anything other than two kids who enjoyed the same music and hanging out? Did anyone give any statement about the relationship being unhappy or one-sided?
I don't think so. And remember, I don't remember exactly what it said, but in an earlier episode, didn't I share some of the entries from Jody's diary or journal?
No.
I thought on one of the, like in the background episode,
I don't
there was
think so.
something, maybe it wasn't a journal, somebody in the chat let me remind me of it, but there was something I was reading. It was stuff that Jody had written about Luke and how much she loved Luke, and
Oh yeah, okay.
Well, and
Maybe it
we
was a
do know
diary.
it was more than just kids hanging out, listening to music and hanging out. I mean, they talked about that they had intercourse,
right.
so it's not just a friendly hangout. I mean, they are a couple, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And but as far as the question of was there any indication there was any problems in the relationship, I haven't seen any.
Olivia says, oh, it might be, I think it's Olivia, or it might be Oliva. Says, I wonder what was the evidence of the friends that he met up with, and were they brought in by the defense during the trial?
I believe they were, and they testified when he was there. There was the one of the, oh man, my memory is slipping me right now. Because didn't she say one of them said that Luke had said Jody's not coming, but the other two said that Luke had never said any such thing when they were there. But they did testify that he, in fact, was there with them, and all three of them, that he was there with them at the Abbey that night.
And presumably, go ahead.
And I believe they testified to that.
Okay, so presumably they would also be asked, was he acting in any kind of unusual way? Or
Yeah,
did
I
he
would think
seem
so.
like his normal self? Got it. Alicia says, ignore if I just missed something, but on the missing knife, if they claim the knife was never recovered, how did anyone know how long it was for the tonsil scenario? Sheaths are often sold separately and don't always come with knives, or just the closest size but not exact. I realize this was a bogus point anyway, but didn't anyone question how they knew the size of a knife they supposedly never found?
So my understanding was, from what Dr. Lean said, that they looked up the manufacturer, which is all super weird because the knife, like they were presented with the knife from the defense, but I think as part of the smoke and mirrors of trying to make it look like the knife was missing, they looked up the sheath and found that sheath and knife are sold as a combination. And then I think she said they made a replica of the knife that was supposed to fit in that sheath, when they in fact had the knife that fit in that sheath.
That's very strange. And as far as how long you would think it was in terms of the wound itself, that would be taken a measurement taken and approximated from the wound, right? What wound would be possible? Like what would create this type of wound?
Yeah, I think they looked into, she had a cut to her tonsil, and they could tell, the knife blade cut the tonsil, and then they, I'm sure they took measurements for how long the knife would have to be to reach the tonsil and still be held and that's where they came with it could be done, but you'd have to like hold it with your tips of your fingers and the tip of the knife to stick it in that far.
That is also just very strange. Like that evidence would come up in trial and that you would walk away going, seems likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's more likely than not that this missing, it's just so many steps. It feels like it's so many steps, like you said, to get to, okay, well then I guess it must have been him.
or just that it's possible it was him is kind of like, and that's the thing with a lot of, like, go back to season 12 with Pinyon Pines. Like, at best, the state was able to prove that they could have done it without ever actually proving that they did do it.
Right.
And I think it's kind of something like that. And and in the knife thing, according to Dr. Lean, like the prosecution wasn't bolstering that as that was like a big part of their case. Like it was kind of a cursory part of the case. And then when the panel of judges was reviewing an appeal, as you talked about, they said, the cornerstone of the case was the Andrina Bryson sighting. And so like they didn't cite the missing knife at all as far as being the cornerstone of the case.
God, the Andrina Bryson sighting being the cornerstone is one of the most crazy things I've ever heard.
Yeah, if everything we've heard is
can't wrap my
accurate,
head around that being. I cannot wrap my take away just this specific case and just look at what we know about eyewitnesses and how fast you're going in a car and what you're able to see and what information you're able to take in and what she described when you get back into the case. And it is baffling to me that that would be that would be the cornerstone and that would be enough to say, well, the knife thing doesn't even matter because obviously the Andrina Bryson thing, that seals it shut for us. So we don't need to consider this again.
It's bonkers.
Shocking to me.
Yeah, me too. Like when she said that, I was like, how is that? That to me like seems like one of the weakest parts of it. Like you said, in general, it's eyewitness identification from someone driving down the road who happens to see some people who didn't know they were looking for anything. Like just that alone, that's hardly evidence.
And when you look back, she couldn't really even identify the sex of the person.
Right.
So, I mean, on top of it, so she saw people is the foundation of it.
Yeah.
She saw somebody.
Yeah. And as like Janet said, because then you take it like back into the case itself and you're like, and what you just said, and the fact that she described somebody wearing different clothing than what she was wearing, what Jodi was wearing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that going back to Pinyon Pines for a second, I think one of the most interesting things about that case and how long we worked on that case was just really hitting home, maybe in almost a deeper way. And I don't know why. I think it, again, was the length. And I guess I was working on the show in a different way than I had been in past seasons. So that's probably needs to be taken into account. But was just the reality of having friends and family of the boys, as they are called by their friends and family, say, essentially, this could happen to anyone. And good luck to you if you become the suspect. And if the police decide it's you, best of luck to you because they will make it fit. And that is terrifying. And it should terrify everyone. And that's just the reminder is like, oh, well, I guess they were going to make it fit. So the Andrina Bryson sighting is suddenly like a key. Oh, it's just very scary to me.
It's just going back to basics. It comes down to evidence-based investigations versus suspect-driven investigations. And as Jim Clemente has always taught us, like the investigation should be evidence-driven until the evidence points you to a suspect. When you do what they did, which is immediately pick your suspect, you can listen. Anybody listening to this right now that thinks this couldn't happen to you, you're wrong. If someone wants to make a case that you did something, they can find every little thing, and they will. And now they may have to, as they did in this case, cherry pick out certain items, but they can find things to spin it to make it look like you did it. It happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Lynn and Simone ask, has Dr. Lean said what options forward she sees for Luke? Does he have to wait until in reference to the conversation you had with her, one woman Scottish Supreme Court justice leaves office? Is it her lifetime or a time limited position? Does Dr. Lean think that European Union considers life sentences for children a human rights issue? Maybe she could take it to them. She sounded like Luke is really out of options, but she persists.
To me, it sounded like the only option that's left available is DNA testing. Is that I think the only way this gets overturned is if they can, through some sort of testing, show like without a doubt this but even that just seems so daunting because they already have all this, like, oh, there's DNA, there's DNA blood on her body, then that's not, and that belongs to someone else, and then there's a condom and that belongs to someone else. There's like what's it going to take? Like, if it seems like any DNA they find, especially if, and that's a big if someone in her family is involved, I feel like the state will just spin that to say, well, of course their DNA is on her, that they live together or they're family members or something like that.
Why wouldn't you just want to get the right person? What a naive thing to say after all these seasons of listening to this show.
Yeah.
I still think, but wouldn't you just want the right person?
I have that
Wouldn't you want to do right by the victim?
I have that moment in every case. At some point, I get so far into the weeds, and then suddenly I step back and go, "Why? Why?"
Thank
Like
you
right
for
now,
saying that. It's nice to know you still do that because I
I
feel like an
do.
idiot. But
I'm working on Adnan's case right now, and I was, obviously with the reply brief series, and I'm really, getting into stuff we've never covered before, and looking at things in a different way, and how this played out. And like in that case, I almost, like, it's unacceptable, but I almost get like Uric and prosecutors' mindset of, hey, my job's to win. But then I take even a step further back and go to like Ritz and McGillivray and be like, I believe there was a time when they thought Adnan did it. And I also believe there was a time where they realized he hadn't. And it was literally just today, the exact thought you're having. I'm like, what is wrong with it? Why? When you realize you're about to send a teenager away for the rest of his life and you fucking know that he didn't do it, why? And I'll never be able to answer that question in a way that makes me satisfied or comfortable with the answer.
yeah, absolutely. And with Adnan, it's concerning why you ever thought that in the first place, because there are reasons that feel like they're not evidence-based at all. But anyway, um, Susan says, just wondering, given the difficulties you've encountered in obtaining certain documents and transcripts and having to rely so heavily on someone else in the attempt to get to the truth, are you reconsidering tackling foreign cases in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really wanted to do a foreign case because I like to physically go to the crime scene and be able to interview witnesses and get boots on the ground, and that's obviously a challenge if you're going to a different country. But this certainly is maybe like there's a whole nother set of issues. But also keep in mind that every country isn't Scotland. I don't know the transparency laws in other countries, but if there was a case that I was really intrigued to work on, and it was international and was able to get access to case files and case documents, then I would consider it still. But I would certainly want to make sure that's possible before I would ever commit to that.
It's been pretty eye-opening seeing how the case was handled over there and what they can see and can't see at this point.
The lack of and somebody said this in the YouTube chat, but the lack of transparency is shocking. Like the fact that the people of Scotland aren't allowed to know what's happening is terrifying. Like there's just no oversight, because what we have learned here in the United States, and credit to Serial for this, for sort of opening this Pandora's box, is that the people of America care deeply about this stuff. Millions of people care. And you don't have to be a lawyer to be smart enough to figure things out and to put a setup up, especially because the other thing we realize, I hate to keep jumping back to Adnan's case, but that's what's on my mind right now, is that a lot of times when these things happen, when these wrongful convictions happen, it's not we're shocked, right? We're shocked at how easy it was to convict someone, and we realize how flawed our system is in one way, simply because attorneys on both sides are so overworked. I mean, like, so I'm going through, Janet, you've heard the whole series up till now, so up till episode 6, which is 8 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
Think back to when I was breaking down the Nisha call and how we know that Nisha call wasn't what the state was, and the come get me call 315, how that call's impossible, and how, like, that's not hard to prove. It's really not. Like, it's actually quite simple. And then I have those moments too where I said, I'm like, well, why the fuck how did the defense not figure this out? It's so simple to figure it out. And then you realize it's just like, well, because they're not, no, I won't say no, but like very few lawyers have the capacity to put that kind of effort in. And so it's been a huge benefit in the United States that ordinary citizens can get their eyes on this material and do that work. And it's been so effective. I mean, if you look at the track record of like the Undisclosed podcast, it's in Susan Simpson's Proof podcast,
Mm-hmm.
it's unbelievable. It's like they take a case, the conviction gets overturned. They take a case, the conviction gets overturned. Like they're like when you get, and of course they're attorneys too, but they're able to like focus their efforts on just one case for a year while they're working on it, only on that one case. And it's amazing. And we've seen all this progress being made because ordinary people are now given the opportunity to engage and become the oversight that our system so desperately needs. And so so when we get to that point now, 9 years into this weird phenomenon that we've all embarked on, now you look at Scotland, you're like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean you can't get the documents? And think about this. Maybe it's just me, but 9 years ago, it never in a million years would have occurred to me as just an ordinary citizen to pull a FOIA request to look at what happened in a case file. Like, that never would have occurred to me. But now it's
Sure.
like, that's what we do. That's what we're here for. That's our kind of mission in life, is to be that set of checks and balances. So I hope places like Scotland and any place that has this kind of lack of transparency catches up to that soon, because I think it is the most critical and key part of our system, and the thing that is going to correct our system. That's going to be the end of the episode.
Great.
Cool.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
That actually is all we have, because Allison, I want to just address and shout you out for the frustration that you do feel about the focus that ends up going on to the differences in our justice systems, and that it's distracting in terms of what we can actually do to help Luke. But I have to say, this has been so illuminating, and I think it is helpful. I think it has been really helpful to start to see some of those differences. And of course, it's very frustrating in terms of what we can actually do to feel like we're making that direct impact on this case. But I certainly don't think that it was, frustrating in the sense where it wasn't worth doing. This has been fascinating and frustrating, but it's always frustrating.
Yeah. Well, and I felt really good about, when I talked to Dr. Lean off the air too, how appreciative she is that we're just taking the time to shine some light on this case and to expose more people to it and get more people engaged and involved. So, and that's what, that's what we told you at the beginning. It was going to be a 6-part miniseries. We just wanted to give the case some exposure, and I think that we've done a good job of accomplishing that. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. We all have packing to do, and we're headed to Dallas to Obsess Fest. So hopefully some of you that are hearing this right now are in Dallas and you're getting ready to see us at Obsess Fest.
Absolutely. Cannot wait.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
You want the
No, but did we want to touch the Jamie Snow stuff at all?
Oh God, I meant to do that at the very beginning, and you guys railroaded me and went right into the other thing.
We'll
Add this
try to
in.
fix this.
I think we should add this into the top. because
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
why I
it to be at
thought
the
at
top,
this
but then
point-
you went right
Okay.
into the other case.
Okay, so I'll let you explain this to Brandon.
Yeah.
But we'll say, so pretend like Zach just did the intro and just be
Mhm.
like, Bob, before you do the housekeeping, I just wanted to share
Great.
this.
Great. Bob, before we do any other housekeeping or talk about the current case, I did want to get out a quick shout out to Jennifer, who is working on Jamie Snow's case, volunteering her time, trying to support in whatever way she can, and is encouraging the rest of us to participate as well. Jennifer says if you go to the Facebook page, there is a post right now that is about writing and sending letters supporting Jamie's clemency petition soon. You can go to that. I have looked at it. All of the information is now there, but there is a quick turnaround. If you are listening to this on Friday, know that the 20th is the deadline to get these letters in. It is done through email, so you can absolutely do it today if you are listening on the 20th, or if you're here, obviously, with us live. But check it out. It is a Jamie Snow post from Jennifer H., and you have the opportunity to really make an impact. Send in a letter, support Jamie. There's some real specifics around this scenario, so make sure you check out that post for all of the information. And thank you so much, Jennifer, for stepping up and for trying to help Jamie.
Yes, absolutely. And that when she says the Facebook page, she means the Truth and Justice the official Truth and Justice podcast fans page. Will have that post pinned to the top. And again, when you're hearing this Friday, today's the day. Take a minute to do that. I'm going to knock mine out before we head to Dallas and send that in. And just to make this a little easier on Brandon, I'm just going to tell you guys that we recorded this separately and then we are plugging it in right now. So you're about to maybe hear a little bit of a strange transition into me talking about housekeeping. And that's why please write your letters to Jamie. And then here we go with the housekeeping.
I think he's not even going to need that. It's going to be smooth as silk. Bye, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay. I stopped recording.
I stopped recording too.
Me too.
Oh,
Jennifer,
thank you,
I know
Zach.
you're here. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I literally have the post up on my phone to make sure I still got to it. And then by the end, I forgot that we never got to it. I was so confident that we were going to get to it that in my mind, we did get to it.
I wrote a
but I
sticky
literally
note.
had this sitting on my phone all follow up.
I had a sticky note on my desk
Marnie.
to saying to cover this stuff at the top about Jamie. And then I started researching that stuff about Jody's brother, and I just left it out there on my
Well,
desk.
I have all the questions in. So I know you guys don't flip over in the StreamYard to the banners, but I have all the questions. So I'm like, there's one we haven't talked about.
No, I have it right in front of me. I have it 2 places, Zach.
I wonder
That's
what
how
you sound
sure
like.
I was. Like,
That's what I
oh,
was
we've
like,
covered this.
You sounded like you were holding
It's
a fart when
awful.
you're like,
oh, it's awful. It's like the worst thing I've ever done. I hope that's true. If that's true, I'm an angel. But
Yeah, you
it's
really
not
are.
true.
I left.
No,
Okay.
I'm thank God.
Sorry.
But we would have dropped it in. We would I mean, I would have I promise you, had I looked down at my phone, I would have been like, whoa, 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 we need to start recording again, or I just need to record a thing for Brandon to drop in at the top. Because I'm highly aware that the deadline is the 20th. Yeah, sorry, Jennifer. Probably gave you a real scare there. And I know that you now hate me and love Zach, and that's okay. Everyone hates me and loves Zach. It's fine. Oh,
I'm still
Kelly.
here, guys.
Oh no.
Kelly, don't reward him for not answering your emails.
Hang on. I just zoomed myself and I
Where
can't
am
see
I?
anything.
And Zach's just gone.
There I am.
There he
zoom out.
is.
Oh no. I did something terrible. I can't see anything. There we go. Hang on. We're
Oh.
getting
I do
back.
that
Oh,
three
no.
times. 3 times an episode. I do something and the screen goes whoop and blows up this big, and I can't fucking see anything.
Oh.
That's what happened to me.
Do you know?
Nick, that's a great question. Nick asks if everyone has been released in Scotland for, a wrongful
I saw that too.
conviction.
And I don't know the
Great
answer to that.
question.
Do you know that the fans were the YouTubers were very excited when I was clicking while you were talking, and then you yelled at me?
What were you putting up? I was getting so pissed because I was like trying to be serious and trying to like in my mind remember all these dates, and I'm just seeing
because there was a whole group of people that were saying that we need Ahoy shirts, and they just like there was a whole group that just kept posting like different people. So I was just like sharing every single one of them, and then they really liked when you were like, "Stop it." They called me a man child.
Wait, did you say that Kelly was rewarding me for?
Isn't Kelly the one who's always trying to get you to reply to important emails and you're always overwhelmed and you never do?
Yes.
Okay. And then she gave us $5, and I'm saying, don't reward Bob for not answering your emails. It's as simple as that.
Right.
Simple
I did.
as
I
that.
think I usually reply to her emails here live on the podcast.
Excellent.
Thank you, Devin, very much. I'm obsessed. We saw Devin came out to our comedy show on Friday.
Oh, nice.
Devin and JJ. All right.
That's awesome.
We need to go because I need to do some work on this audio and get it
Maybe
over
we'll
to
see my
Brandon.
children.
Because
Great.
there are my brilliant plexiglass idea did nothing.
Oh, here's another one.
Team Ahoy shirts. So that's what you're putting up as a bunch of Team Ahoy shirts?
Mhm.
Jackass.
And people saying they want to.
Fucking jackass.
Uh,
So we both get in to Dallas at almost the same time in different airports, but we should
different
probably
airports.
both get to.
I think I do too, guys.
We're all staying at the
no,
Omni,
we
right?
both
Same
like
place?
the group of you and the group of us.
Oh, I thought he meant like the
The
both
LA
of you.
group.
You
No,
two
the LA group and the Michigan
both
group.
of
That's what he
you
means. That's
get
what
in
he's
at the
saying,
same time.
buddy.
I mean,
Don't
I
you
actually
dare.
don't. I listen. I don't. I'm just here. I'm just along for the ride.
so we're
Don't you
you guys.
dare.
You're also at
Don't
the
you
Omni,
dare.
right? You're staying there, Janet.
I
We're
would
all staying in the same
assume.
place. Yeah, it's listed on there. Excellent.
Hey, look at this comment. I like it.
Zach ass.
Yeah, like jackass, but
Yeah.
jackass.
Jackass.
I'm so excited to see you guys. When we get there Thursday, let's all sneak away and go to dinner and not say hi to anybody.
Let's do it.
Okay. Great.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of thought that was already the plan.
I know. I did too.
No, we want to see. I've a bunch of you, a bunch of people.
Oh, I want to
like,
see the fans. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
yeah,
To see
and a bunch of people have
everybody.
been asking, like, is there a place to go? Because they had to. So last year, the meet and greets were rough because, like, they said, okay, now like Bob, Zach, and Janet are doing a meet and greet, and then 300 people lined up to go to the meet and greet, and you only got 45 minutes, and like, they only got through half the lines. So this year they did sign up, so there's only the amount of people, and then we're supposed to like keep every interaction to like under a minute or something so that we can see
Okay.
everybody. But so there were a lot of people who I guess which I guess is a good thing. Our meet and greets are sold out already.
Oh, cool.
But there was a bunch of people that didn't get tickets that were asking, and
I get to
Caroline.
apologize to a bunch of people for not being Bob.
Right. Caroline, thank
dare.
you very much. So anyway, if you're going to be there and you weren't able to get the meet and greet, we'll definitely find a place to do a meetup.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it looks like. So like the last place, there was a huge open air bar in the middle. So we were like, that was like the hangout. Like a lot of the fans have just hung out there, and all us podcasters were like, when we had a minute to breathe, we'd come out and say hi to people and stuff. I don't know what the Omni looks like, but pay attention to Zach's social media, and he'll tell you where
If you follow
we're
me,
all three going to be.
I'll tell you where we're gonna.
That is
I'll
actually
tell you where
very
I will
helpful.
be,
Thank you, Zap.
and I'm pretty easy to find.
At Z to the Q. And with that, we're going to end this thing. Thank you guys very much.
Oh,
Jan,
no,
don't
what
go
am I?
anywhere.
I guess I'm gonna have to call Kelly Zap ass because I already called Zach Zap.
Yeah,
I-
Zap ass.
Otherwise, I call you Zap.
All right, I'm ending this stream.
All right.
I'm ending the stream. Bye.